I think I was muted. I was probably muted, chat. Welcome to Scrollers. My name's Carl. Let's go start that again. I don't know why that was muted. Welcome to Scrollers. If you like what we do, press the like and subscribe. It really helps us out. And yeah, we're doing this Nightbringer project. It's my personal model. It's not sponsored by GW. And yeah, we're just going to build it from scratch so you can see a bit of my process. And we're up to the basing. We've built the full model. And I wanted to kind of walk you through the process start to finish. We're up to the basing part. I've had a bit of a think, but I kind of want to walk you through a little bit about my thoughts on how we're going to approach the basing and the material and how we're going to construct it. And you can just kind of see how it goes. Let us know in chat what you're working on, and if you're what you're hobbying this afternoon on this Sunday. If you're watching the races, you can talk about that. Although I don't really know cars very much, so. But yeah, we'll get crack-a-lackin', I guess. So I thought I'd get out my old Nightbringer just so you can see the reference. We're going to stick to the color scheme, I think, eventually, when we get to painting this guy, which is blue body, green clothes. Green tends to be the secondary color that my Necrons are. Yeah, but we'll do some funky blue on the body, as you can see the way these guys are painted. But the part that I wanted to kind of look at is the way that the original base is constructed. It's got this cool little like surf wave effect going on at the base, where there's it looks like he's riding the scarabs. And there's a little bit of scarabs on the model itself, where we've got scarabs coming off the clothes. There's no real scarabs on the base. There's no real tactical rocks, which is really interesting for this piece. The Void Dragon had a lot of tactical rocks. So I kind of wanted to give it a little bit more there's a lot of scope opportunity to do some cool stuff with the base. Yeah, so I'm going to recreate that. That's the plan. So we'll put Mr. Nightbringer there so you can see the that. So positioning and composition of the base is really important. You can just there is nothing wrong with just taking the model, whacking them on the plastic base, putting some texture on it and some tufts, and doing a really good paint job. That is a perfectly acceptable approach, it's the most common one, and it can still look really, really awesome on the tabletop. So that's what a lot of people do. I use a lot of tactical cork, I guess you can call it. So what we're going to do is look at how we can recreate the wave effect and the scarabs. So I've got here some spare scarabs, and because, you know, back in the day, back in 9th edition, you could have 9-mans. You can't have 9-mans anymore. So I've got this whole bunch of spare scarabs lying around, and they're already painted, which is fine. They can be repainted. But what I wanted to do is work out the positioning for how to put them around the base, and how to give it a bit of a height and kind of recreate that surf mechanic by creating some height gaps and putting some of those scarabs kind of like underneath, so that it kind of looks like the wave that the Nightbringer is moving across is like splitting the ground, and the scarabs are kind of coming up from underneath in that energy that's kind of being released as the Nightbringer is kind of going along and parting the earth, if you will. painting stuff underneath is going to be tricky. So you also have to work out how you're going to paint it, because if we glue all the scarabs in there, then we're not going to be able to paint them. So what we might have to do is have a bit of a fiddle with it and see whether the scarabs are going to fit. See where the scarabs are going to fit into the actual base, and then work backwards from there. So as you can see, I've kind of had a bit of a starting think about this already. So we've got 2 pieces that I've already cut, and they are, I've already forgotten which way around they are. They are like, or is it this way? And that way? No. This is where I got to mark stuff out, chat, so you don't mess it up. Or is it this way? No, it's definitely this way. It's definitely that way. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, that was one piece, and then we've split it. We'll split it so that it kind of forms a bit of a crevice, like that in the base, and that way, when they get stuck down, you can see that there's a fair bit of distance underneath those 2 pieces. So we will put some scarabs in there. I'm just going to turn this down just a little bit. Feel like the music's a little loud. So let me know, chat, if you can still hear that. Yeah. Okay. So I guess what we can do first is we need to work out exactly where these pieces are going to sit relative to the Nightbringer. So the Nightbringer has this V shape on its tactical rocks on the base, and so we've got to work out exactly how these are going to sit kind of across to give that that view of the cork following where the tactical rocks are actually sitting on the model itself. So I think we go a little bit wider like that. This can also go back a bit, actually, because it can sit backwards a little bit. That bit feels pretty good. But then this bit doesn't feel great. So, yeah. Better whack the glass. See a bit better. Make sure you have snacks and water for hobby time, chat. Hey, Hugh. How are you? Good to see you, buddy. You are you hyped for the new Warboss model? Looks pretty cool. Was leaked and then previewed in very quick succession yesterday. Oh, do you know what it is? I haven't seen anything about Monday. Yeah, it is. It is a lot more grimdark, right? And I kind of like the helmet too. Like the helmet part, the helmet head with the tusks on it is quite cool. It's a lot more of a it's a lot more of a throwback to some orcs. My super glue is jammed. Bad Rock. Ooh, Bad Rock. Bad Rock would be cool. Something that's not in the launch box, yeah. Hey, Jez. How was this guy to build? Well, there's 2 episodes of this previous to this is episode 3. There's 2 episodes of this previous to this, where we built it from scratch, including opening the box. It was okay to build. It's definitely not the hardest Necron model that I've had to build, but it wasn't necessarily the easiest. There's a lot of really weird. If you have a look, where's my pointy? Oh yeah, that'll do. So, they've done a really good job of holding the hiding the mold lines in this kit. There's some sections that, like, you can see where these parts like overlap. That's actually where the parts come together. So there is some parts here that you just have to be careful of not having too much of a gap. But they actually hide. It's quite a forgiving model. They actually hide it. And really, there's only kind of 3 spots that I had to do some actual like gap filling modeling work on, which is this. There's a seam that goes down this part of the leg here, and then there's 2 seams that go on either side of the helmet that we had to do a little bit of work on to flatten out. But functionally, other than that, it was actually pretty good. So that bit, now that we've got that bit of cork glued on there, what we can do is just, it's a little bit easier to see that position. Turn it around a little bit. So we're probably going to be out here somewhere. And then you can, oh, it's hard to say, well, actually, if I put it on this side, like that, you kind of get a good sense of what we're kind of looking for. Yeah, it doesn't have very many obvious joints. They've done a very, I'd have to give props to the injection engineer that did the injection mold. It's actually, I think they've done a very good job of creating the engineering the bits. So what we're going to do is we'll leave that dry a little bit. I don't want to put too much on it. I'm going to remove. We've got a little bit too much excess that I want on this inside bit here, so we'll remove that in a sec. But I just want to finish the positioning part. So we're looking at something. Something like that, I think. Remove a little bit of excess on that inside. And then, well, you know what we're going to do. Where is my... Oh, yeah? What is it? What are you working on? Tell us. Enlighten us. Haha, look at you, Jez. I don't even have to say it. Already got it under control. One recommendation I make is I get cork tiles from... you have to wait till Radicalism lists up. Ooh, spicy. I get cork tiles from Bunnings. I think it's the cheapest way to pick it up, and I bought 2 packets, and they've lasted forever. I'm nearly starting to get to the bottom of the cork tiles, but I find it better than getting like the coasters from IKEA and whatever. Like them. Yes. Look, I've even got a button for it. There you go. Look. Some people try to cut them, or snip them. It can be a little bit awkward, and I kind of like the natural texture you get on the edges by breaking it. Get yourself a little pair of electronic needle nose pliers. These are meant for like electronics and that kind of stuff, but they're really good at shaping cork pieces, especially if you use flat tile pieces that you're breaking up. So you can kind of get into spots and just like break off bits, and always keep the little bits because you can put them into projects. But what I can do here is make sure the part I've glued I'm holding, and just kind of bend away those excess bits. Now, what we're going to do is when we get to fixing it on place, we're going to use some texture paste to blend the plastic into the cork to make it look a little bit more natural. But that'll be in a bit of a later step. Hey, Mr. Ryan Jones. Snuck in there in between the discussions on Hugh's project. Have you got any, what are you working on at the moment? Jared, are you still kit bashing Chosen? What biscuits are those? Oh, this is this is my lunch. We've got just some seaweed crackers and water for today. Hydration check, chat. So I'm just getting in here with the needle nose, removing that excess, just so we got that little bit. And I'm not a super fan. We put that there. How much does it sit behind the model? It's going to sit somewhere like that. Actually, that's okay. Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think we need to I don't think we need to take off anything from the front or back. That positioning a little bit far back, maybe a little bit forward. Yeah, we don't want too much weight. Actually, it can come even further forward, I think. Yeah, something like that. We basically want his butt to be on the base. Less sitting back behind as much as we can. So that means this bit. Painting some infiltrators for squad games. Infiltrators? Oh, it's for some AdMech infiltrators. I assume you're not talking about Space Marines. Something like that, I think. Nice. Finished the Qatar, the executioner dude. Ryan is the GOAT. Going to go 100 to 0. What is that unit have 18 models? Yeah. Alex said we're going to come second. Well, we'll find out, won't we? There we go. What we actually might do is just off-center him a little bit. Because maybe a little bit forward. What does that look like? Hmm. Bit of rotator potato off center. Where is he looking? All right. So one thing that you're going to be careful when positioning your composition of your model is for the basing is like finding out where the face is looking. So his face is looking like that way, right? So yeah, something like that, I think. What I need to do though is get into here and pull out this excess stuff. Strength in numbers is looking awesome. A lot of solid teams. Yeah, there is a lot of solid teams at strength in numbers. A lot of solid 5-mans, which is freaking awesome. I am looking forward to casting it. So hopefully, maybe get us in the earphones if you're going to the footy. What are you going to go see? I gather it's one of the teams that has a bye round this round. Modeling for advantage. Well, it's modeling for disadvantage, actually, because it's going to be bigger. D's. Oh, yeah, the Melbourne game. You'll have to send Lawrence scores. Lawrence is a D supporter. Yeah, that gap's looking better. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Actually got a lot of pass-through in there. That. Nice. So... I'm going to have to fix this back up a little bit. I'm not super happy with this part here. I think maybe if we just... The super glue, chat. I think that's fine. Apply some paste on that. Got to remember to pick up the biscuits and not pick up the cork and eat it, chat. That'd be not tasty. All right. Just because there's plastic on cork, we need to use a little bit of super glue. For most of the rest of the stuff, especially for corking, you can get... Oh, fuck. Great. Well, you can get away with PVA glue. A big stonking tub of cheap PVA glue that I use for a lot of basing. Hello, new to Warhammer. Just started painting some Ultramarines for my combat patrol. Any tips? Yes. So, undercoat in black. A good brush, model paints, patience. Yeah. If you look at some of the quicker techniques like contrast or from either Vallejo or AK or Games Workshop, they always tell you to undercoat in like white or a tan, or always undercoat in black. What you want to do is then get a really stonking brush. No, even something like that size. And what you want to do, so here's a good example. So what you want to do is you can there's two ways you can do it. You can do a zenithal highlight. So this is a zenithal highlight, so where it's undercoated in black, and then I've gone over the top of it with a gracia, which is that. A lot of guides and stuff on the internet will talk about airbrushing and that kind of stuff. You don't need it for this type of stuff if you use contrast. Just black undercoat spray. You can use cheap black undercoat if you want to. Just don't use a lot of it. Be sparing with it. But use a good use a good spray for the next step, which is the zenithal, and you just hit it from the top. If you're just learning, don't have to get too fancy with it. You just want the lightest bits on the very top and the darkest bits underneath. And then you can go in with your contrast paint. Another way to do it is you can do it like this. So if you're not using contrast, you can work up a color just using a big brush. You know, I would use something big so that you're hitting a lot of the raised areas, but not really getting into. You can see like on the bottom here, I haven't hit this bottom bit, and then work your way up in what we call a dry brushing technique, where you're just applying it on the spots that you want the color, like that. You gradually work your way up, and so good undercoat. The other thing is when you're doing your base color, don't worry about your guns and stuff yet. Do them last. You can always go back over with black and fill in the bits. Like you see that this, I haven't tried to miss any of the bits I'm going to go back and do later. Because it makes that step hard. So if you're using a big brush technique or a contrast technique, you're going to have a much quicker turnaround if you just ignore the fiddly black bits. And then you go back and do them later with just the black and some silver or something. But yeah, so you're new starting out, learn how to do this. Practice doing a black undercoat with a white zenithal and to use your contrast on. Pick a nice contrast. Get 3 or 4 colors on it, so you're happy with it to put it on the table, and get playing. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, the best paint job in the universe. It just has to be something that, you know, you're happy with, and don't, you know, while you're learning, you'll make a few boo-boos, and that's also good. So make sure that you keep trying, because you'll figure it out. All right. So that bit is that bit start to cure. So once we have the idea here for this will be we stick it on top, and then we'll have some. You'd imagine some scarabs coming out from underneath, from in the middle and underneath. So around the bottom, and then inside, we'll have to think about later whether we're going for like a smooth texture. So like something like this. See how it's shiny, smooth. You can do that to get like quite a smooth texture. If you're doing like lava or goo, or using a texture paint. So I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start chopping up some of these scarabs, and then we can start placing them in here. Actually, what I might do first is just while I got the glue, while I'm sticking my fingers together, I might just, you know what? We'll use the PVA for this, I think. You just watch me tip this whole thing of PVA all over the table. Like an absolute muppet. Something like that. And then that's why you keep these little excess bits when you're pulling it off, because then you can like glue them in good spots. That bit's a bit too big. We might put that bit on this side, I think. Something like that. Because kind of what we want is, we want that kind of broken shelfy type. Where is my... if you're doing basing, one thing I suggest you do, if you're doing some like base modeling, kind of like this, is get yourself, if you're in Bunnings buying your cork, go down to the hobby aisle, get yourself some cheap set of artist acrylic brushes that are just, you know, bad. These are the best thing to use for your texture paint, your PVA glue, doing this kind of stuff. So what I'm actually just going to do is use it to just clean up this bit here, like that. So I don't necessarily want the glue like that. Just clean the rim. We'll go over with paint later, so it doesn't need to be flat, but you just don't want big blobbery bits of glue. Just make sure you have some water on hand. So you're going Savage 1061. You going blue for your ultramarines, or let us know. You what color, what scheme are you doing? What color are you thinking for your ultras? Now we might start clipping some of these, I think. There you go. These are conveniently in little circly bits, which is kind of good. I think what we're going to do, we'll plot out we'll plot out where we want the scarabs to go. And then we might go and apply some texture paint, I think. Got my had a game at Club Day yesterday with Mr. Charlie, and got to play some of the new Blade Guard veterans with Sanguinary Priest from the Data Slate. That was kind of cool. Played a list with 18 Blade Guard vets in it, and it was pretty fun, not gonna lie. It was pretty good. In lag. I have a list in my phone for inheritors. It's a bit of a jank list. So I'm not sure how well it will do, but yeah, they're pretty good. I think they're kind of good in any of the detachments. I think you can make a case for them in any of them. Which is quite interesting. That's the wrong way around. What about these ones? But yeah, no, the list I tried was lag. So it was like 3 BGVs, 3 Sang Priests, some Death Company, some Sanguinary Guard, Dante, a Captain, an Impulsor, a Smash Captain on foot with Scouts and Intercessors. I need a knife for this one. Spare base is in the spare base box. Waste not, want not. This can stay over here. It's looking pretty cool. So if you want to look at the concept, it looks pretty fun. I like it. Sits on the top like that. We've got a bit of a carpet of scarabs, which is pretty cool. And then we'll have some spare ones we can put on the top. So, all right, where do we go from here? I think what I need to do is take a photo. Because when you map stuff out, chat, make sure that you take a photo, so that you can put it back together the way that you need to. Because we need to take it off first. This is a good spot. I'm gonna stretch legs for 2 seconds. So a good time to get some water or a drink or whatever, and I'll be back in 1 sec. Anybody doing anything fun tomorrow? It's a public holiday where I am tomorrow, which is nice. Long weekend is always good. They're going to be too big. So, a little bit of hodgepodge in there. This is quite cool. This is so it's like a sealant. It's Mod Podge. It's called. It gives you that very gloss finish effect. So I'm going to put this inside of the crack inside of the crevice to make it kind of go make it look like it's a little bit more of a hole, and will have texture kind of like on the outside. You know what? Let's make it look like a cliff. Let's put the hodgepodge on the outside as well. And then we'll put the scarabs in. This is probably going to make it harder to paint the scarabs later, but that's okay. Now, this is quite thick. I've applied this quite thickly, so it's going to take a fair while to dry. So, yeah. What do we look like? All right. my chat break? Maybe. Everybody's gone quiet. I'm gonna need a couple more. We'll use these ones. I think this bit needs to come off. All right. Do something at the top here. I mean, you try to just take these whole rockets. That might work. Where'd that knife go? Always be careful with knives, Chad. Don't cut yourself. Don't try to put too much power. Hopefully, if your knife is sharp enough, you should be able to use a little bit of power and it should cut without being too rough. Trying to separate the knob from the base. Oh, didn't get me. It's close though. There we go. Beautiful. Spur base in the spur base spot. Maybe this one's better for this side. I'd rather not destroy the base. I'd rather have the ability to reuse the 40 mils. Recycling and all that. There we go. Lift these tactical rocks off. There we go. Beautiful. That's kind of cool, actually. These ones on that side. And then these ones on that side. Nice. This one underneath. And that one over there. A spare one I can put on the front there. Cool. All right. This super glue has grouped itself. So I guess I need another one. Oh no, only 2 little tubs of super glue left. Maybe my, let me just recheck this. Yep. It's still there. Very good. I was very sad, chat. The super glue I used to love buying from Reject Shop. They must have swapped supplier, China suppliers or something, and they haven't had it. And it was my favorite, and I liked it lots. You don't have to be too worried about like gappy bits here, because you will fill it up with texture. I'll show what kind of that looks like. Got one little duty. Shitty supermarket super glue. I always have it blocking after. Yeah, that's why you get the cheap stuff. You get the expensive stuff. You just waste it. Although the Gorilla Glue gel stuff is quite good for varying bits and pieces. Yeah, it does. It does, and it tends to shatter, which is problematic. At least when they're plastic, you can kind of fix it a little bit. These are all going to get spray painted. I'll have to repaint all the scarabs, because by the time I spray it and undercoat it and do all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, that fucking sucks. Trying to find like little googly bits on the damn floor is bad. I'm just using a bit of water-based accelerator. Just to because what I want to do is I'm trying to find things I can do because that's now wet. So I think what we'll do is we can put some texture. I'll talk about texture paint a little bit. Once we do the texture paint, then the top half and the bottom half will have to dry. We're going to have a snack and a water break. Okay. Texture. Cork is great. Especially when you break it, and if you break it naturally, it gives a nice natural rock type breakage because of the scale. But obviously it's flat because they cut it into sheets, right? You can get bark pieces for like aquariums and stuff that are more three-dimensional, that have a bit of three-dimension in the space. But sometimes when you're looking at like a topper to add texture to the top of a base, or, you know, tactical rocks, you know, you need to add a bit of texture on here. Now, you could go gravel, you can get in like the really cheap, like decorating shops. You can get like larger gravel pieces that are colored, or you can get like smaller ones. That's a finer grade, one. I think this was like these were both like $3 each. You can see how much I've used of it. You just need to be careful that the sand or the rocks or the texture that you use is like within scale, is small enough. People often get scale in basing slightly incorrect, where the scale of the basing material used is not really the scale of your model, and that's why like sand on, you know, 3rd edition bases with Goblin Green kind of looks a little bit cartoony, because the scale of the sand particles is wrong, right? If you think about sand, like you wouldn't see the texture of sand, you know, if you're a space marine, right? And like a 9-foot space marine in power armor, you're not going to see that. If you have clumpy sand, it's more conveying a rocky texture. So now I mainly use Vallejo diorama effects. Mud is quite good. Mud consistency I find is quite good, because you can give it a little bit of motion. If you want a little bit of motion in the way that it's applied to the base. But the consistency is what I'm looking for. So here you can see, I don't chuck that out. So you can, it's not really giving you a good, so you see that the consistency of that mud, and you can kind of see it in the rim there. The consistency is very, very small. The particles in it are very, very small. That's what the consistency that I kind of like to use. There's some newer ones that have some variation in it, but this is mainly just very small particles. I'm not super fussed about the color. This is a mud, because it's thick mud color. European mud apparently is the color. But I always paint it. So I'm not super fussed about the color. If you want a comparison, this is the snow effect. And you can see when I take this off, it's a much more, there's more particles and it's more consistent, it's more even. Now you could, this is wide enough that you could just put this, slap this straight on a snow base, and you'd be fine. I wouldn't necessarily try to paint this too much, because white pigment always makes things look, what's the word I'm looking for? Pastel. So I don't tend to like that, but yeah, having a neutral tone that you can paint over the top is quite good. So what we're going to do is we can do the top. I don't want to do this on the base yet, on the bottom of the base, because I don't want to get it in the hodgepodge, and I don't want to get the hodgepodge on my brush in here. So because it makes it dry up. Same with super glue or any other glue. You don't want to like mix things. That's why I'm kind of waiting to see this dry a little bit more. Oh, you can go there. So let's just have a quick look. Is that feels okay? That bit also feels okay. So yeah. So again, where's my my crappy you know, cheap ass big fat point brush. You want something that kind of has. You don't want it flat because sometimes it can be hard to like get into the spots that you need it, but you don't need like a paint quality tip on something like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply it thinly on the top, and get it into the spots where this tactical rock is meeting here quite a lot to give it so it's not a stark texture change. We'll put a little bit on that inside while we've got it up, a little bit in here, a little bit around the scarabs, because we want to blend that craggy part with the cork to make the cork less flat. My music stopped. Let's have a look. What do I feel like? What is this one? Cool. I think this will do. So yeah, nothing special. This is a brush that I used specifically for glues and texture paints, because you don't want to wreck anything. Go from the inside out. You don't want to push things up against other things. And so I'm going to get this in there. I like to use a twisting motion. Try to get it up and into the cracks. I need to get it on the lightning, because that will make it look weird after we paint it. But kind of work it in. Most of the time with some of this stuff, you might want to prime the base first, because effectively it is just paint. But cork does a really good job of wicking moisture, so what'll happen is it actually adheres to the cork pretty well, without too much help. Don't be afraid to cover some of the tactical rock. It just makes it a little bit more believable that the rock is like coming out of the surface. Here you might have to stack it up. I don't know how well we can see that, but there's this gap here from the tactical rock. We want to make sure that's covered. Much better. It's hard to see on camera there, but looking much more consistent. It's a good way to cover up where the cork pieces connect to, if you want it to look like one connected piece. Try not to get it on the bottom, it will stick to things. So get it on the bottom and you have to put it back down. Make sure you Hello, Creative Odyssey. I am doing great today. Having time to do hobby is a pretty good thing. So it's always a good day when you have time to do that. You working on anything at the moment, hobby-wise? Doesn't have to be Warhammer related. Could be something else. I do in fact play 40k, yes. There's a few videos in this channel of me playing 40k. If that's something that interests you. But no, we here at Risk Gorillas, we do a lot of streaming. We run our own events. We play a fair bit. When we play, we tend to be a little bit more competitively minded, because that's kind of where our personal interests lie. But yeah, so. In fact, I played 40k yesterday and it was glorious. We run a club day twice a month, and it's always nice to catch up with people that you haven't seen for a while. Thousand-point Black Templars army. Ooh, nice. I love me some Space Marines. I have a fairly large Space Marine collection. Black Templars amongst it, which is cool. Although I traded that. I didn't paint that particular one myself. pretty good. So we've taken our plastic tactical rock, our scarab tactical rocks, and our cork. We've used some texture paint to blend their textures together so they look like they belong. The texture paint now gives it, and you can see that like it gives it a little bit of windswept motion too. Quite often one thing you can do with the texture paint is, I have an example, is if you apply it in one direction, like you would paint, you can give it this kind of windswept motion here. And actually, if you put it in the direction that the model is moving, you can quite often get it helps bring the base, bring that illusion that the model is moving to the whole piece and makes it consistent, which is cool. There's a little bit in here that I just need to just in that bit there. So actually, you can see it from underneath. But I can see it from underneath. You probably can't see it from underneath. What you sometimes need to do is like get some on the brush, kind of get it through the hole, and then like pull it into place. Like that. There you go. A bit of inside. Soften some of those lumpy bits a bit. I don't want too many lumpy bits. Oh, we missed a bit. Planning on getting Black Templars, Combat Patrol, and Brutalis Dreadnought to get it to 2,000 points. Sick. Might I suggest, if you would like some unsolicited feedback, have a look at the Repulsor Executioners for Black Templar. They will not only give you a really cool hobby project because it's a nice centerpiece type model, but it's also worth a fair decent amount of points, and it's the way it plays on the tabletop at the moment for Black Templars is very good. So if you're looking at picking up something to fill your 1,000 points out to 2,000, highly suggest you get one, if not two, Repulsor Executioner kits. They're very, very good. Yeah, Brutalis is okay. It's not fantastic. It's been a little bit lackluster so far this edition. Redemptors are okay, and you can get Redemptors on secondhand lots, secondhand websites quite cheap because there's quite a lot of them. So that's another one I'd suggest. So that's, you know, Repulsor Execution is like 230 points. Redemptor is like just over 200. And that gives you some nice armor if you don't have any already. The other thing I'd probably suggest too is grab some basics, some Space Marine staples, jump pack intercessors, scouts, incursors. They're all applicable in a lot of different Space Marine armies, so they're really good ones to get. All right. Where are we up to? I think I have done just about everything I can do because it's all wet. So, what we'll do probably, I'll do maybe offline, is some texture paint on the outside rim of this base, so that you have like the Necron goop and the texture paint kind of tying into the flatness of the plastic on the base. And we're probably ready to do some undercoating, which is cool. So yeah, so just for, you know, reminder for anybody that's watching back, that was my old Nightbringer before the new one was released a month ago. And what I wanted to create is recreate this you know, scarab wave aspect of the old school base, which I really like, that wasn't on the base currently. So yeah, there we go. We're gonna have we've risen created some depth on the base, giving it a little bit more height. Yeah, so now, you know, we've got that releasing the waves of scarabs that he's kind of riding on. It's kind of riding on, and then we'll have some cool. It's given the base a little bit of a mini diorama effect, where you've got some interesting pieces in the scarabs underneath, coming out of the ground and, you know, bursting out. Yeah, so I think that's kind of where we'll end it, chat, for this afternoon. So yeah, so thank you for joining us. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit about the process of the base making that I go through in particular, and hopefully gave you some ideas. If you want any you know, want any shout outs or have a chat, pop it in the paint. There's a painting channel in Risky Rollers Discord. Go check that out. Pop your whip photos into chat there as well. They end up on the desk. We like going through whip photos, works in progress, shots for your hobby on our Thursday night show on the desk. If you like what we do, please press the buttons. It super duper helps us in getting the streams and the videos out there. And when I go live on the weekend to do this, if you turn the bell notification on all, you'll see when the stuff pops up. If you want to check out our events or anything, riskyrollers.com.au for tickets and Risky Rollers events on Facebook. Thank you to the sponsors. There's some cool new discount codes in chat there. Not in chat, sorry, in the video description. New one for Baron of Dice and a new sponsor, Polymath Tabletop. I have 3 squads of 10 intercessors, 1 squad of Infernus Marines, squad of Terminators, a Rhino, and High Marshal, and a squad of Imperial Bikes. Oh yeah. Don't get caught out with the Rhino. There's not a lot in Black Templars that can legally go on a Rhino on the tabletop, so just be aware of that one. Yeah, looks like you're having fun, creative. Yeah, I think with that we'll sign off, and we'll see you again next time. Don't forget to tune in next weekend for Squad Games. There won't be a hobby time next weekend because we'll be at Squad Games streaming 40k, so that'll be fun. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.